Hey guys! Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the show. My name is Dan Duran, and this is the Tech Lounge. Here we discuss topics related to business, technology, cybersecurity, and today we're going to talk about parenting. Parenting. Hello,
Yeah.
Tamara. How are you doing today?
Hi. I'm good. Thanks. I'm back.
You're back. Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. Hello, back. How are you?
Here for a second time. Awesome.
Yes. Just remember that we stream every Friday at 12 o'clock on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So please follow us using the hashtag ThanDuran every Friday. Now sit back and relax. This is the Tech Lounge. Where's my sound? There.
Awesome.
Oh, no, not that one. There you go. All right, so my co-host is not here today. He's actually on vacation. So
Yes.
wherever you are in Cuba, I mean, he's in Cuba,
Hi, Andrew.
enjoying the beach and the sand and the heat. And he called me on FaceTime, and it's beautiful in Cuba right now. So jealous, Andrew. But we miss you. But we have Tamara Olmedo Johnson. She is a
Yay.
registered nurse. Hello, Tamara. How are you doing today?
Hi. I'm good. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. So happy to help with this topic. Something
Absolutely.
I know a lot about. Yeah.
Yes, and it's kind of like a first-hand experience on this kind of stuff, right? So, who do we have on the line, Tamara? And I showed Tamara because the other thing is Gladstone is not in the house either. He's not controlling the dials. He had to do something today, so it's just you and me, Tamara. So,
I
who
know.
do we have on the line?
We have a lot of hellos, a lot of love. So Oscar, hello guys, happy Friday. Yeah,
Happy Friday, Oscar.
Absolutely. Aura. So how you
Hello,
doing? Sorry.
RSS in the chat.
Wow, there's a lot of highs. Oh my gosh. How does
Hey,
Gladstone do
Gabriella,
this?
nice to meet you. I mean, nice to see you again.
How does he
Eduardo,
do this?
greetings.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Like, I mean, a lot. We have, love the shirt, Dan. I know.
Thanks,
So
buddy.
cool.
Thanks. Yeah.
We have Sonia here too. Oh
She
gosh.
says,
Hi,
hey, happy
everybody.
Friday.
Oh, we have some hi Tamaras. Thanks. Hi, guys. Hi, Diego. Nice to see you again. Eduardo as well. I don't know, Eduardo. What is this? Oh, elbow cough.
I think he's putting emojis on the chat, and it shows us,
I think so.
texting here for some weird reason. So
I know,
we know what you're
right?
trying to do, Eduardo. Hello,
Yeah,
Julian.
Gosh, a lot of people. This is
Yes.
great.
Yes, it's a very important topic. Right?
I gotta give kudos to Gladstone because this is some work going on here, trying to get through everything. And so, yeah, wow. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the love.
Hello, Yonglian Kai. How are you? So, Tamara, sextortion. This topic very important. You have kids. You immerse yourself as an RN in a medical, student and a practitioner into this topic.
Yes.
What is it? Why are we talking about sextortion?
This is important. Yeah, we're doing this. We're exploring this topic because although it's not new, we know about cyberbullying, and all of us parents out there, we have an idea of the threats that are posed to our kids that are online, right? But this whole sextortion, that's something that I feel like is important. We need to talk about because I think there may be some parents that are in a little bit in the dark about it, or maybe don't even realize that this is something that's very prevalent actually and is going on. So we want to try to help parents know what to do to protect their kids.
Yes, and this is becoming one of those things that started kind of 2014, and I don't know if you guys remember Amanda Todd, tragic case from British Columbia. It was looked as cyberbullying at the very beginning, but it really wasn't, right? This was a sextortion case. Nobody knew what sextortion was, but for the last 1 year or year and a half, we have seen an increase in the amount of this type of vicious activity.
That's right.
And
it pretty much began as sextortion. You're right, and then it just snowballed, and it got so huge in cyberbullying, as well, in part of it, and now we were just talking about this, Dan, like we're seeing it in the news now. Although this took place in 2012, there's a trial happening. It's from here
Was it
in
2012
Canada.
or 2014? I thought it was
Um,
2014. Okay, but it doesn't matter.
sure.
It's been quite a while, and this is the
Yeah.
case. So I'm showing you my screening here, and let's see this case about Amanda, and then we're gonna show you. Oh man, this show is gonna be so helpful if you're a
Yeah.
parent, if you have kids that are 10,
Mhm.
11, 12, even 8 year olds, if they're teenagers, stick around because we have some really, really good
Yeah.
resources at the very end that we're going to be showing you
And
on what
hey,
to
yeah,
do if
even if
something
you're
were to
not a
happen to
parent,
you.
you could be an aunt, an uncle, you could be a grandparent, a neighbor, a friend. It doesn't matter. We have kids
Yeah.
everywhere that we all, I'm sure,
Nephews,
love and care
niece.
for. Yeah.
So this is the case of Amanda, and I don't know if you guys remember, very tragic. This young girl from Vancouver. Wow, that song, man, it's just struck a chord with me, man. That's I felt like I just gonna wanted to cry when I saw that
Yeah.
her singing that, and
Hmm.
she committed suicide because of somebody in some other part of the world was sextorting
Yes.
her, right? So very, very touching and moving.
I mean,
And
it affected her in every aspect of her
yeah,
life, physically, emotionally, all of it,
mm,
right? And even though she tried to change schools multiple times and tried to start over, and plus she, unfortunately affected her, and she even, I believe, became involved with drugs and alcohol. Like it just snowballed out of it, right? I just
yes,
out of control, and this poor girl, like she suffered significantly.
yes,
Um, and this
yeah,
is the Fifth Estate, by the way. So if any of you want, you can continue to watch. It's
yeah.
pretty good. It talks a
ABC
little bit more in
News.
depth, yeah, about her case.
Yeah, and talking about Amanda Todd and this show, like this is right on time. A couple of days ago, and not just the days ago, I think a couple of weeks, there is a trial going on Amanda Todd's perpetrator, right?
Yeah,
And you can see here, digital investigator from Netherlands testifies at Amanda Todd sextortion trial. So this is going on right
yeah.
now.
So again, this guy, he is being accused and charged of for this finally this sextortion, and that's a part of the reason why we want to do this too. Is we want to really highlight and get it out there so that parents understand that this is a crime. Like it's not this innocent thing of, oh well, my kids are just sharing pictures. Like this is a crime, and these things are happening. And we're trying to get, obviously, in this case, we're here in Canada, but governments around the world to acknowledge this and hold people accountable.
Yeah. So this article is from CTV News Vancouver, and recently we have this other case. This happened
Yes.
probably a month, about a month or a couple of months ago. April. This is from Fox 2 Detroit, April 20, 2022, and this breaks my heart, man, because this guy, he was an
Hmm.
straight A student
Yeah.
involved in the varsity and other sports. I think he was doing football. He had really good marks, very good kid, and he committed suicide because of sextortion,
Yes.
right?
And it happened quite quickly. If you again want to read into the story a bit, yeah, it was not something that it was happening for years necessarily. So this is something that happened quite quickly within, I think, days, just a
Yeah,
day or two.
yeah,
He went from being this kid happy, not really involved in any real issues, and then having this human being, yeah, basically
yeah.
infiltrate, and then he also ended his life.
Yeah. So, guys, you're out there. If you have any comments, if you
Hmm.
have any questions, if you have anything that you like to share with us, just put it on the chat. Put it in the chat. We'll display it and then we'll talk about it. I assure you, there's really good information here, but I'm pretty sure you have also some sentiments and things that you like to say. Put it on the chat. We'll display it. So, okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this clip. Again, this is not.
Jordan DeMay took his own life. According to authorities, the
There
Michigan
you go.
teen was the victim of sextortion, apparently blackmailed. Investigators say he was pressured to pay money in exchange for pictures he'd taken of himself, not being sent to family and Instagram followers.
In a typical sextortion scheme, the perpetrators tend to be somebody who's looking for sexually explicit material from young people. In the most recent sextortion scams we're seeing, it's people who are actually looking for money.
The FBI's Detroit field office tells Fox 2 it's getting reports increasingly of adults posing as young girls and coercing young boys through social media to produce sexual images and videos. Once those images or videos are sent, the victim is threatened with exposure unless they pay the perpetrator.
In these cases that we're seeing most recently, it's young men between the ages of 13 and 17.
In some cases, the perps use deception and manipulation to sometimes get the victim, in many cases teen boys, to engage in explicit activity over video, which is then sometimes secretly recorded by the predator.
It could be somebody located anywhere in the world who is just looking to make money from people who are desperate.
Girls are also at risk. A 24-year-old Redford man sentenced on child porn charges sent this to one of his victims. No matter how much you run or wherever you run, I still have your nudes and face. His MO was persuading girls to produce sexually explicit photos and videos and blackmail them if they didn't send more.
We'd like to prevent our young people from being victimized like this.
Yeah. So that's another case of sextortion that involved a young kid that committed suicide after. And just like this case, there's another one in the UK that I watched also. And
there's quite a few actually. Again, because this is happening. It's not a rare occurrence anymore. So actually, Dan, why don't you even say like what we can explain to the audience and to everyone?
What is sextortion? Perfect. So
right.
I do have that on here. So maybe you can read this out loud, Tamara.
Sure. So just to let everybody kind of know what we're talking about. So we're talking about the act of blackmailing victims by threatening to expose sexual images via cell phones, other digital media. And the perpetrators of sextortion, they obtain these initial explicit images through a variety of tactics, which we'll kind of mention briefly too as the show goes on, including coercion or deception. They use this media, whether again, pictures, photo, video, to force the victim to agree to other demands, such as getting more pictures or sexual activity or money.
Yes. And talking about money, there's actually groups of hackers and scammers that are doing this. And there's a really good documentary that I recommend to you to watch on, and this is on Tubi, and it's called The Dark Web. So this is a docu-series, and the first one talks about the queen of sextortion from the Philippines, right? Maria Caparas, who had this kind of business of sextorting, making millions and millions of dollars through the organized crime.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how everything, the scripts, the videos, the way they introduce themselves on Facebook, they friend request the people,
right.
A whole entire scheme.
It's like a business. She really seriously ran it like a business.
Yes.
Crazy.
And this is what she said on the when she was incarcerated. You want to read this too?
Sure. She says, I trick stupid men into stripping naked, then performing sex acts on Skype. I mean, yeah, she confessed to that.
Yes. Chilling confession of sextortion queen in Philippines who uses striptease and sordid sex texts to blackmail Westerns online. So, you know what? You might think that this is, it's not going to happen to me. That's just crazy. But you'd be surprised the amount of detail and the amount of, it's not like they send you a friend request, you look at the profile and it's kind of half-assed. It doesn't look like a good profile, so it's a scammer. It's people that have they create profiles on Facebook and they shows the relationship, past relationships, trips they've taken, photos, comments, likes. And so when you look at the person on the other side, you see that as a normal human being. Right.
So, and I mean, again, remember what was, said in that Amanda Todd video, the one girl, saying, oh, well, I was naive, so why not? And this is why it's happening to the group that we're discussing here, the kids, right? This is why they're preying on children, because they know that kids and teens especially yeah, they're preying on that naivety,
Yeah.
right? And that, they're more trusting.
Exactly. Hey guys, we have a surprise for you, and from Cuba, we have
Oh,
a very important person joining us. So I'm making a little time out in here. We have somebody from Cuba, international known personality joining this show. So, here he is. Hey,
there's
Andrew.
Andrew. Oh
Hi
my
guys,
gosh.
can you hear
Hi.
me?
Loud and
Can you
clear. We can
perfect?
hear you.
I just wanted to make I just jump in real quick. I mean, I've been watching the show. It is such an important topic, so I really don't want to take away from the importance of it. Dan, I want to really compliment you on that beautiful shirt, though. I don't have one, so I don't want because I'm down at the beach, so you guys can see.
Yeah, just keep your phone on your face then.
And to Mary, you
Oh
it's
man.
amazing that you're here, and you know having an authority on this topic is so important. But again, I just wanted to
Yeah.
jump in, guys, and say hi to everybody, and kind of show you where I wish I was there, but I'm happy I'm here. I'll tell you the truth.
Yes, I'm sure you are. We
So,
miss you, but man, I'm jealous.
hey, Andrew, so
Yeah,
you're in Cuba. Where exactly are you right now?
exactly. I'm in Coyacoco, so I'm in a resort called. It used to be called Pastana. Let me look at my bracelet here to tell you. It's called Pasilla Pasirio, Paricio. Pasilla
Paris.
Paricio.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's really funny. Like, let me look at my bracelet
You
because
look at my bracelet.
I'm gonna go and have my mojitos and my pina coladas at the bar. Can you spin your camera around so we can see where you're at and how beautiful it is? Wow, look at that.
Very lovely.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know they had like Wi-Fi right on the beach in Cuba. That's like pretty sick, man.
Yeah, we're pretty
Yeah.
fortunate. Actually, it's the plan we have back home, and it's pretty inexpensive if you're traveling. People get that. It's like $15 a day only, unlimited. So if you are traveling for business, just make sure it's secure as always. I mean, that's really important. And the Wi-Fi is, be careful about that when you're traveling, etc. As Dan can talk about. But again, I don't want to dilute the topic because it's too important
Right.
today. But yeah, here we are today. Just I wanted to come in. Didn't want to miss it, and I just wanted to say a special hi. And Tamara, thank you so much for joining and being
No
being
problem.
incredible. And Dan,
Yeah.
I got a comment again, man. I love that shirt. I love
Oh,
it.
thanks, man. Thanks. How's the weather in Cuba? How many degrees?
So right now it's about 30, about 32, I guess. But down by the beach, it's a beautiful breeze. We had a little bit of overcast today, so it's a little darker. But earlier this morning, it was beautiful. So,
Yeah.
but it's still beautiful here, as you can see. So.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks so
Yeah.
much for reporting from the field. Andrew Somerton in Cuba, my co-host extraordinaire, is having his vacation and enjoying every little bit of it.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody. Again,
Have
thanks for our
fun.
Dan, my friend. We'll talk
Bye.
to you guys soon. Bye, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. All right, that was Andrew Somerton from Cuba. That's great. That's great. All right,
Cool.
let's
You're tuning in. That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much for making that appearance, Andrew Somerton. So let's get back to the show.
Right.
So we're talking about what sextortion is
Yeah.
and how organized it is, and it's getting right. So
Oh, for sure.
there's steps.
I do have. Yes, there are steps. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So these are the steps for or the MO for sextortion. I put extortion, so just put an S at the beginning there. Okay. So as I was saying, these people they look like they're normal people. Everything is fake. They have entire networks of people, let's say 30, 50 people that they have befriended and they chat and all that. And they're all sextortionists working from somewhere abroad. And in this case, in the Philippines, they send a friend request. So that's the first step. Then they start to get to know you. So they ask questions, like simple questions. What do you do? Oh, and start a conversation. Then they gain trust. And the way they gain trust is by sending pictures and videos and all that stuff, right? So like if if the attacker would send pictures and videos. Oh, here's my doggy. Here's some pictures of me with cleavage, whatever it is,
Yeah.
to gain trust. And then the sextortionist sends nude pictures first.
Right.
So
Because
that's
that
how
takes that element away of risk. It's only like, oh, well, they're sending it first. They wouldn't do that, right? Like, so obviously they're revealing themselves. So it's a tactic.
it is 100% a tactic. And if you're not careful, you would fall for it, right?
Right.
And that's the key. Don't ever, if you're an adult, if you're a kid, don't ever send pictures to anybody, because it can go, it can just come back to haunt you, basically, right?
Mhm.
So then when they send the pictures, they ask for pictures, they ask for more videos and stuff. They record everything that you're posting online. When you have like these video chats with them, and you're stripping naked and stuff like that, and they take in those videos, they recording that. And this is not just adults. We're talking about kids. We're talking about 12, 13, 14-year-old kids, 15-year-olds, teenagers,
Yep.
because they're more prone to be scammed like this, right? And then when they get you, then they start asking for the ransom. Send me $5,000, or I'm going to expose all the pictures to your friends, your family, your wife, your parents, your like your social media. I know where you are. You've told me so much information that I know everything about you, your work, etc. And that's where they get you. And the sadistic part about this is that teenagers struggle to find money to send them.
Well, right.
They send as much as they can, and after they send that money, this extortioner asks for more money. And if they can give them more money, they tell them, why don't you just go and kill yourself? As a joke.
Yeah.
How bad is that?
Yeah, it's disgusting, right? I mean, it's really bad. And even from there, in a bit to the cyberbullying, because what's happening too is what we're seeing is there's this sextortion that's happening in these rings, like we were talking about, from the Philippines, and people that are, treating it like it's almost like as of a business, right? And then, but there's also people out there that are engaging in this type of behavior that are sometimes even fellow teenage peers, or again, people, pedophiles. Like it's happening now at a level where our kids have to understand that it's going to become harder and harder to notice. It's going to become harder and harder to be able to read who is behind that screen, right?
Exactly.
And make the right decisions.
Yeah. So Tamara, you were mentioning something. You said, "Oh, I got something," and then you were, and then I
was going to mention
cut
something.
you off.
Oh,
Did
I
you
think it
remember
was
what it
just.
was?
You know what? I think it was just a statistic that I had been reading. I was reading a lot about this too, just to see about the prevalence of this amongst our kids. And there's some research out there. You can definitely look for some. For me in particular, I was reading an article in the Journal of Pediatrics, and corresponding with the Development and Behavioral Pediatrics at the Children's Mental Center in New York, which is, again, a good source for me to, sometimes I'll go and jump on there and read what they have going on. And in this case, they've got some statistics about some research that was surfacing about sextortion because of the rise that they're seeing. And it's amongst from like 6th to 12th graders. Some statistics came out where they're saying that about 3 to 5% of students are admitting to being victims of sextortion. Mind you, only about half of the people victims of sextortion, especially young ones, will actually admit it.
Yes.
Right. So you can kind of gauge that it's probably double that. And also, like I was mentioning about cyberbullying, it's also showing up in the schools. That they have another statistic that about 3% of the children are admitting that they themselves are the perpetrators now, that they're trying to force others. Yeah. And so again, it's now getting into this sort of behavior of cyberbullying.
Yes.
And as well, one last thing I read was that approximately 20% of the sexts that are sent, so again, texts or pictures of an explicitly sexual nature, they're actually being shared amongst other kids.
I know.
Even though the kids don't even really know where it's coming from, at least 20% are sharing it.
Yeah. So, but from what I was looking into on my research, 3 devices per kid. That's just nuts. On average, kids own 3 different devices.
Yeah.
And teenagers now spend 7 hours on their digital devices per day. 7 hours.
Yeah.
It
This is
isn't.
why this is why the show has to be done, is because we're a group, like you mentioned earlier, where we didn't grow up
Yes.
with this. You know, we're from that generation who grew up with a free phone line, right? Like this is not something we had to
Generation
experience.
X, man.
Yeah, it's hard to fathom like this constant state of connectivity. Our kids are in a constant state of connectivity, right? And they have this access, it's available to them
Yeah.
pretty much, again, most hours of the day. So we got to find out ways that we can help to protect them, because these are threats that you and I never encountered.
Yes, and we got some really good tips at the end, so don't
Yeah.
stick around, don't go anywhere. We're going to show you the tips. And now we're open up, we have the lines open for you. So if you have any comments, any
Yes.
questions about, like cyberbullying, about sextortion, about what's going on in the digital world, especially with kids and teenagers, make sure that you put your comments online, and then we'll display in
Yeah.
and we'll talk about that. So put them online, put them
Right.
on the chat right now, and we'll talk about that. So
And just to know, my quick mention, Dan, this is by no means like we're trying to do any kind of like parent shaming or child shaming, their behaviors, or we're not judging or
I hear a
criticizing
disclaimer.
anyone.
I hear a disclaimer coming
No,
up.
well,
Usually the Andrew is the one with the disclaimers, but there you go.
well,
That's
yes,
the
we're
disclaimer alert.
not really giving out any kind of, you could say, medical or psychological or legal advice here. We're just trying to help in a practical way, right?
Exactly.
So if any of you have questions, like I said, or comments or whatnot, we can relay some information and some facts, and we can talk about it, and for the intention that all of us out there are better educated and can make the right decisions for our kids.
Yes. Yeah, we're cybersecurity, right? This is a technology and cybersecurity show. So I'm going to show you some really cool tech that you can use.
This is great stuff. Yeah. So maybe
Diego,
we could start with those tips. Oh, sorry. Yes, Diego. I
Diego
didn't
has
see that.
a comment. Do you want to read that out loud?
Okay, that's totally wrong. What the beep? It's a kid doing in front of a screen for 7 hours straight. He's toasting his brain. Okay, so like Diego, man, that's opening a can of worms, because I could talk about this for hours.
Yes.
About screen time, device time, kids having devices, and how do you control it, and all that,
and kids,
right?
like kids that are as young as 11, 10, 11, logging into their devices to play Minecraft, using credit cards from their parents, spending money at 2, 3, 4 in the morning without the parents even knowing.
Yes.
That is just,
and
crazy.
And it's not, and here's the thing, I'm going to say it again, because this is not child shaming in the sense that we had that example with that youngster, that 17-year-old. These are not like these horrible kids that are committing crimes, or your bad kids that are doing it. These are just normal children, good kids that are being exposed to something that they don't know how to navigate through. If parents aren't teaching them how to navigate the internet, how on earth do you expect them to know what decisions to make? So really the onus is on us.
Yes.
Like, we have to educate ourselves.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. So if we move from sextortion to, because sextortion could happen between bullies, right? Like bullies that, like they get they talk to your kids, and then they become acquainted with your kids, and they're part of the classrooms and the schools, and then they start sharing images and stuff, and then bullying you because of this stuff. Let's talk about the cyberbullying in general, right? So we have a pretty good I have a pretty good video here, and this is from Common Sense Education. And if you're a parent, I really, really encourage you to look at this channel. They have so much really good stuff, so many videos for kids. These are all designed for kids on, how to be a digital citizen, what is cyberbullying, oversharing, private and personal information. So if you're kids, this is targeted to kids, right? So sometimes as parents, and as you mentioned, Tamara, we are from a past generation, and kids nowadays, they know more than us, right? when it comes to technology, they're born with technology. So
that's the thing, they know what they're doing for the most part.
So this is a video, so kudos to them. They're doing a great job for kids. So let's take a look.
When we're mean, we might say or do things that hurt others. We might be feeling angry, upset, or jealous. It could happen once, or maybe even twice. Being mean is not okay, but bullying is much worse. Bullying is when someone uses their power repeatedly to hurt or upset someone. It could be hurting them physically or calling them names and saying hurtful things. So then, what's cyberbullying? Cyberbullying's like bullying, but it happens on the internet or on a device like your phone, which can make it kind of different. With cyberbullying, it can feel harder to escape because it can happen anywhere, anytime. Also, it's easier for cyberbullies to hide who they are. Plus, other people online could see what's happening and even gang up on someone. If you see someone being bullied, in person or online, what can you do? Give them support. It helps to show that you care. Be an upstander. Stand up for others and say something to the bully. Report what you see and tell a trusted adult. So, what will you do if you see cyberbullying?
Great video for little kids to watch this, to understand what cyberbullying is, and all the other videos that these guys have are just
Right.
pretty amazing. So recommend
And I
it.
know too, Dan, that a lot of the curriculum now, it involves that. I've had my girls come home and, they're showing me for health class, part of what they're learning is cyberbullying, right? And
Yes.
so they're trying to incorporate it into even, the school system for sure.
Yeah,
But we still
absolutely.
have to do our part.
As
Because,
parents, man,
we can't rely on,
you
the
can't.
school and videos, right?
If you think that your kids know about social media and technology and they can handle that world, you are completely wrong in that respect. So you need to be monitoring your kids. So let's go to the
Yes.
tips, right? Let's talk about the tips, and we have the
Yes.
resources
Well,
that
before
I'm
we
going
do
to
that,
post on the. Yes,
if you
go
don't
ahead.
mind, we'll quickly mention Diego just added to his comment here, just talking about how the problem is not only risk of sextortion. Somebody think about your reward system. And you know what? He's right. There's too much dopamine for such a small creature to meet your kids. And that will kick in with our tips too. So this is a good segue in here because we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And how can you help to eliminate such that the dopamine rush, right? That comes from the use of the devices sometimes.
Yes. If anybody
All
else
right.
has any questions while we are talking, by all means, just post them online, and then we'll display it on there. So the other thing is that this show, there's two things that I wanted to mention. Some of these clips might get censored, and then after the show, so they need to be deleted. So if you're watching this after our show and it's just a recording on YouTube, and you see a space in between, boop, that cuts off, that's because YouTube is putting this ping, big ding on our
Right.
chat. Now the other
Happens.
thing is, you can also comment after the show, and we'll take a look at the comments.
Yes.
So if you're in LinkedIn or Facebook or even YouTube, and you're watching a recording of this show, make sure you put your comments in there, and we'll get we'll kind of respond. Absolutely. So
Yes.
tip. Oh, Oscar Garrido is also putting a
Sorry.
comment in there.
Because I just wanted to address it, Oscar. And yes, we will definitely give you guys some recommendations. Dan has some cool stuff to show too. So we'll definitely, he's asking for an app or something to keep an eye on kids' activities.
Yes,
so
Oscar says.
So let's get going.
Yeah, Oscar says, can you recommend an app to keep an eye on your kids' phone activity? Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that because we have a lot of listeners that are not watching the actual captions, mm-hmm. but they are listening to what we're saying. So tip number 1.
Yes.
What is it?
Tip number 1 is to be a good online citizen. Right.
What does that mean?
Actually funny. I noticed on that website that you just had earlier, there was a little video on there too, explaining what an online citizen is. But basically you want to really discuss with your kids early on about how to behave online, just like how we teach our kids how to behave in person in society as a citizen. There is the concept here for being an online citizen, about being respectful and responsible online. Right.
Yes.
So to
You
keep
see,
people's comments, non-judgmental, and teach your kids about not being that way or not being confrontational.
absolutely,
So
and you see a
discussing that.
lot of. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You see a lot of these memes that are going on Facebook and stuff where
Yeah.
parents are like on their phones on the dinner table, and everybody's on their phones and stuff like that, and they're like
Yeah.
memes. I don't know if you've seen them, Tamara,
Yes.
but
I've
it's a
seen plenty.
it's a crude reality. If somebody's
Yes.
talking to you, right, and you have a phone on your hand, you need to put it down and look at the person in the eyes and listen to that person, whether it is an adult, a kid,
Hmm.
because you got to teach your kids, you got to be a role
Yes.
model, right? So
Right.
if you're doing it yourself, imagine kids learn from what you do, right? So
Yeah.
being a good citizen, a digital citizen, it doesn't just mean doing things online, but doing things with your family that shouldn't be appropriate.
Hmm.
uh, it's kind of common
Yeah.
courtesy, right?
And just an added tip, just like most families, you have family values, right? And things that you try to instill into your children. The same thing. Why not go through with your kids, sit down and talk about what are going to be like our online or
Yes.
digital values. How do you act when you're interacting with people? Because again, we all know this. When you're behind a screen, and sometimes even if your face is showing, people are bolder, right?
Yes.
Think about it. You can get away with saying a lot more on a screen than face to face to someone,
Yeah.
right? And we don't want our kids to develop that habit of thinking,
Exactly.
well, they're not right in front of me in person, so I can just kind of say what I want,
Family
right?
time is really important because that's when these subjects can be discussed.
Yes,
And
right.
I'm not talking about watching a movie, because when you're watching a movie and eating popcorn, sitting on the couch, there's no talking. You're just
Right.
watching. It's not really family time.
Yeah.
It is, but it's not. Family time is when you have a dinner together, when everybody's sitting on the dinner table and you're laughing, you're discussing things, you're eating, and that's when this type of
Yeah.
subjects or any type of subject can come out on the table
Yeah.
to be discussed. And if you
I think
have
that, yeah,
that routine with your kids, it is just very helpful.
it's a good tip. Definitely.
Okay,
Okay.
talking about tips, number
Number 2.
2.
Yeah, passwords. So you talk about that one. It's pretty self-explanatory. You've done a lot of shows about this, but
Kids are smart, man, and it has happened to me in my family. Kids, they can guess your pins very quickly, right? So if your pin is 1234 on your iPad or your device, forget it, they'll guess it, right? So make sure that you
Mhm.
put some sort of strong password, and if they know a password on one of your devices, chances are that you have the same password for other devices, right? Or other
Right.
stuff. So they're always looking for,
Yeah.
and this is kind of part of human nature, right? For sneaky ways to try to do
Oh, for
things,
sure. Yeah.
right? So then the rules.
And so they
So
have to have the same, they have to do the same thing with their devices. You got teenagers
yes,
going to school, or middle school kids. They may have phones, right, that they take with them, or computers. I mean, they got to have a strong password, because
yes,
again, you can fall victim to some kind of cyberbullying at school or in other areas when you're amongst your peers, if someone's just going to kind of quickly hack into your computer or your
yeah.
phone,
So I
right?
taught my teenager how to create passwords from using 4 or 5 different unrelated words. So for example,
Right.
beach, Andrew, apple,
Wait, I
apple,
was wondering where you were going with that.
computer.
I'm like, Beach Andrew.
Beach Andrew, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I just and then put a
Yes.
couple of like a couple of numbers and characters in there, and then you're set. As long
Yeah,
as you remember those 4
for
words,
sure.
you're gonna be good,
Hmm.
right? So very easy to make passwords for teenagers.
Right
She
on.
was like, "Wow, that's amazing how you can
Right?
very quickly make a password,"
Exactly.
right? So
Good.
tip number 3.
Yes. Privacy settings. This is like, I mean, I would love to say that this is for me tip number 1. Like, I just feel like this is so important. And I'm going to be honest, as a parent, I just thought that was just a given, that all parents would be doing that with their kids, but that's not the case.
Yes.
Surprisingly, so I'm really a big proponent of parents really getting into the privacy settings or finding ways
Yeah.
of having some type of privacy settings for their children's devices.
And there are limitations, okay, limits that you have to put on.
Yes.
And some of these privacy settings or limits are digital, so things that you can do on your phone, on your tablets, on your accounts, Google, for example, or iOS, etc. And some of them are physical. So, for example,
Mhm.
the time to go to bed is at 9:30 p.m. Give me all your devices or your devices.
Mhm.
I want them here, and
That
then
could be a physical, exactly,
yeah,
a
I put
physical
them
way.
away. I put them away, and then you're gonna get them tomorrow, right? It's because you don't want a kid, at 2 in the morning trying to get into their account, right? So those are
Right.
physical devices that you can actually, like
Yeah.
enforce at
And
all times.
just a side tip onto that tip about what you just said. Parents don't have to be like, oh, device is here right now because we don't trust you, blah, blah, blah. We call it like a charging station. It's like, okay, at night, everybody's devices go to the charging station, and the charging station just happens to be in my office.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's not like so I'm even the message and how you send it to your child,
Yes.
the way you speak to them about, their devices, can also, again, can really affect how they view it then.
That
So,
is so
every,
funny.
just a
You have
small
to
thing.
you tell the kids, oh, you know what? Charging your devices is very important. So
Yeah.
that's why we're doing it
Yeah.
because
Right?
we
At night,
can.
it's perfect time. Everyone charges your devices, right?
I charge my
So,
device at night too, right? So,
yeah.
and then let's talk about more of the digital.
Yeah, the
Let me share
parental
my screen
controls,
with you.
for
Right.
example, and yeah.
So, using parental controls, this is for iOS, and we have all the one for Google, and it's not very hard to do, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of pretty easy, and there's this guide from Apple that you can follow, right? So to be able to set restrictions, and restrictions are things like let me see, where is it? Here it is. Right. So content and privacy description. Yeah. Restrictions. You don't want your kids to go into things like pornography and, like guns and
Right.
drugs and stuff like that. Right. There is also time. Right. So, for example, restricting time. Right. So, what do you call that? Limiting, or there's a name for it.
Screen
Uh,
time. Yes, it's the
Screen
screen
time.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. Passcode, screen time passcode, adult websites, allow websites only, all of that stuff. And it goes on and on and on in terms of TV shows, movies, videos,
Yes.
podcasts.
You
It is,
can choose the rating. Like, you can choose the level of restriction on your children's
yes,
devices too, right? Which is nice because obviously maybe a 14-year-old child isn't going to have the same restrictions as, the 8-year-old.
yes. You can disallow apps. So, for example, if your kid or you have on a device, you have Discord or like YouTube or sorry Instagram or Facebook, and you don't want them to go in there, you can just disable the
Hmm.
apps you don't want to uh, display for your kids, and automatically they won't have access to those apps, right? So
Right.
there's a whole whack of settings, and also it goes uh, for the Google Play and
Yes.
in your
I'm very familiar
Android.
with that one. Using the family link, it's called, as
Mhm.
well, for Google. You can set up a family link account, and it's a really great tool because by setting up a family link account, there it is. There, see, you actually are the one in control through your device. So
Yes,
when the children want more time or the children want to exceed certain restrictions, and they actually request it, and it goes straight to your phone or your device, and you can approve it or disapprove it immediately through your device as well. So like
exactly.
it's just, yeah, it's really
Okay, so
great.
now I'm gonna throw a curveball to you, Tamara. Okay,
Ooh.
and then hopefully I'm gonna be able to explain it. So
I don't
what
play
if?
baseball. I don't know what you're talking about.
No,
Okay, go
okay,
for
hold
it.
on. I have something for you there.
Wow,
Oh no,
You
there
like
you go.
my joke? Yeah.
Okay, so
Right.
what if the kid has a Windows device? What if they have a PC or a Mac or another type of device where you can't set the family link or you can't set the iOS, especially with Windows, right?
Right.
they have a Windows device. What do you do?
Well, I happen to know probably from you, but there are other apps. Yes, there are
Yes.
other apps that you can use. Some really cool ones, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
you can
So
enable.
this one is from Kaspersky and it's called Safe Kids, right? Safe Kids from Kaspersky, and I have a subscription to this because I I have kids, right? So I need to manage and then see what they're doing. So I have iPhones, I have devices, I have computers, apps, all of that stuff. I have them in here in the in my Kaspersky, and
Mhm.
you can see things like, okay, I opened the notification history so you can see in things
Yeah.
like, my child exceeded the daily limit for this use, and then it shows you advice for parents on this kind of
Yes.
stuff. So for
Now, if I
example,
may just hop in for a second, another little tip I got for all you folks out there. When this happens, I can tell you that there is a high chance that your child is not aware of how much time they have spent on that device. So, what
yes,
I love about it is that it shows you how much time, and was it Diego or I forget who was like, what? Who spends 7 hours on a? I'm telling you, your kids don't realize because as adults, do we really realize if we're not paying attention? So it's the same with them. So it's such a great tool that it tells you how much time they are spending, because then you can approach them and just have the discussion about it. When I did that with my kids, same thing. She did not have a clue that she was spending 3-4 plus hours on her phone.
yes,
It was shocking to her.
yeah.
So again, it's a nice way for you to interact with your child and have that discussion.
Exactly. And going back to Oscar Garrido's question, can you recommend an app to keep an eye on your children's activity or kids' phone activity? This is a pretty good app. It's called
Yeah,
Kaspersky
it's pretty good.
Safe Kids. It's only $14 per year per kid, right? So it's not very expensive at all. You can use that app. And by the way, Andrew is saying something too. He says, "What a great show, guys! This
Mhm.
content is so important." And then he says, "Thanks for allowing me to join for 5 minutes."
So
We
that
love
means
you, Andrew.
that means we're going to add an extra 5 minutes at the end of the show to make up for it, right? Because I'm realizing we have a lot of points to go through, Dan.
Yes.
So
Okay.
yes.
So the other things that you can do is so you see this. This is from Cloudflare, and this is a free service. It's called 1.1.1.1. So it's like one
Yes.
one one whatever. Um, and for those of you who are a little more techy, this is a DNS that you can use, because when you have your router, you have your firewall or your Soho router coming from Bell or from Rogers or whoever. They have in the configuration, you have your DNS, right? And usually it goes to the ISP, so Bell or Comcast or whatever it is. But you can actually set your DNS to Cloudflare, and it's going to do a few things for you. So let me show you how cool this is. If you set it to 1.1.1.2, then it's going to help you with malware, right? So it's going to stop a lot of the malware that gets to your phone, your laptops, your computers. And if you set it to 1.1.1.3, then it's no malware and no adult content, right? So in my family, so I'm here at home. Let me just show you. I have this on my. This is my firewall. And you can see that my DNS one is set up to 1.1.1.3. I can just change this in here. And then my DNS two is this other one. So for anybody, I mean, this is not just really techy stuff. You can actually log into your router and set your DNS to this. And this is what happens. Let me try to go to porn. So if
Oh
I go to
God,
porn,
this better work.
this better work. There you go. See, so I can't go to
Oh,
the websites. Any website that shows pornography, let's say Pornhub, it's a famous one. .com. It wouldn't allow me to go into these. So these are very cool tips that you can set for your kids. The other one, it's a very important one um, for your Wi-Fi. If you have Wi-Fi, you have one SSID, right? So your user and your password. for everybody in the family, why don't you go into your settings of your Wi-Fi router, create a new network, name it something else, for example, kids 12349, and then set a different password, and then use that Wi-Fi for your kids. Why? Because you can do two things. You can set up a schedule. So at 9 o'clock at night,
Yes.
Wi-Fi gets disconnected for the kids until
It's very
9 o'clock
cool.
next morning or 8 o'clock next morning. So automatically, they don't have access to any
Mhm.
Wi-Fi at night, right? And the other thing is like you can do it manually. So, for example, let's say your kids are not behaving, and you're like, okay, they had enough internet, and you can just go and manually just shut them off, right? So that's part of the some of the help that we can give you in terms of the technical stuff that you can do on your
Mhm.
own to help protect your kids, right?
Yeah.
All right. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments, post them online and we'll be addressing those comments. Make sure you do it now because we're live and we can respond to them. So great. What is the next tip? Let me see. Gain perspective.
I don't know if that's the right tip. I think it's share with care. Sorry. I think we're in share with care. I think we had a little goof up there.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
Share with care. Parent tip. I think that was from the other show last week. So apologies. That's
Yeah.
why Gladstone is
Not
not
that
here. So
not that perspective isn't a good idea. I mean, it's good to have the right perspective, but that's not what we're talking about. So
okay.
yeah, share with care. So again, yeah, we're going to share information online. Our kids are going to want to share information about things. So just you got to teach them, especially the younger ones who may not be so informed, that sharing of personal information obviously is not a good idea. Name, phone number, email address,
Oh
all
wow.
that stuff, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
Especially not without consulting with the parent.
Yes,
It's pretty
but you know
self-explanatory.
what? Let me throw another curveball to you, Timera. Okay, so I'm sorry, but if you're 10, 11, 12, you might consult with parents. When you're
Hmm.
14, 15, 16, there's no way in hell you're going to consult with parents. That is.
Probably not. I mean, again,
Mhm.
it's such a hard thing because every child is different.
Yeah,
Maybe some teenagers have a more open relationship with their parents. Maybe others don't and have a constant fear of punishment or some kind of retaliation. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody's
yes,
relationship. But I think the idea is you have a better shot. You have a better shot of having a good open relationship with your teenagers if you've started that relationship from when they're even younger and you try your best to be as honest and open with them as possible. Maybe,
absolutely.
maybe they might come to you as a teen.
Or
But
or
go
maybe
ahead.
you can be like me, a little more Neanderthal when it comes to things, right? So um, I sometimes what I think is that if it comes from you, they might not pay attention
Hmm,
because it's you, right? So, but if it comes from somebody else, they might actually pay attention to what we're saying. So, what I do
right.
is I look for stuff on YouTube. I love YouTube because they have so much resources, so many things, and then there's certain, videos that I show my kids, and they open their
Yes.
eyes and they go like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, wow, that's
Yeah.
we didn't know this," right? So, and I mean, I you don't want to be crude on you, okay, yeah, like this is pregnancy and this is what can happen to you, or this is
No, we're
AIDS,
talking
or this
age
is like
appropriate.
age appropriate. Please, parents, right? Think about what you're going to show to your kids. Don't traumatize them for the rest of your life or
No.
of their life, right? So um you got to be
Yeah. I
conscientious.
understand what you're getting to. It's the why. It's like you're trying to explain and show why. Like, why are we doing this? Why do we bother having parental controls? Why do I bother having this set up? It's not that I'm trying to put you in a cage or a box, that you can't have freedom or independence, but there's a reason why. So I think that's great.
Yes.
Consider sharing of like Dan said, maybe, yeah, videos or other things that it's not necessarily coming from you. It's other information that you can show them so that they understand why you as a parent is choosing to make that decision.
All right, we only
Right.
have 5 minutes, and if we go over
I
5 minutes,
know.
then we have 10. So number 6.
Right. So don't respond to bullying. So again, this is a good rule of thumb. When you are being bullied, even in a small way at the beginning, don't try to retaliate. Just stop, block, tell someone. It's a good rule.
Yes.
It's like stop, block, tell. It's a good rule of thumb to teach them from, again, early on, that you don't communicate with people who are sending even borderline insulting or hurtful, disturbing messages through any type of social network, or
And that's
text message.
because that's because bullies are looking for a reaction,
Yes.
right? And that
Right.
feeds their
Mm-hmm.
habits and the bullying attitudes, right? Number
Yeah.
7.
Think before you click. So this, again, is a good piece of information for all of us, and definitely, again, more so for children, because they're going to become, well, they are more impulsive, I should say,
Yes.
already than we are. So they're going to want to just click things, right, all the
Yeah.
time. So we should teach them
Don't
to not click messages
don't
from
be click
people.
happy. Don't be
Yeah.
click happy. Click, 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 click,
And
click
yeah,
everywhere.
not to
Right?
download as well. Download things on their phone or computers.
Yes.
That's a big deal too.
Because we're
Again,
getting into cybersecurity now, like
yes.
they can, you
Mm-hmm.
don't, oh man, this is something that I do with my kids. Every time I pick up a computer, I look at the Windows device and this hasn't been updated for ages. Make sure that they also have antiviruses on their computers, because sometimes parents, they buy computers for the kids and here it is, here's the computer, go do your thing, but they don't notice that maybe their computer can also get hacked, and because of that computer being
Oh,
hacked,
totally.
it goes
Yeah.
through the network and then your computer gets hacked, and you have some, like episodes of ransomware and stuff like that on devices, because your kid's computer is
Yeah.
not safe. So you as a parent need to protect the computer, not just the kid,
Right.
but the
The
computer.
computer too, of course.
All right, next one.
So the next one is to be wary. So again, kids have to understand that they are meeting online and sometimes with people they do not know. A lot of games are like that. With our kids love Roblox, right? Like as an example, like you're playing with other people online, you have no idea who they are. So they have to be taught to understand that you can't just assume that everyone that you're speaking to is who they say they are, and that they need to also not just trust people right away. Like, oh,
Yes.
this is a stranger. I can trust them because they're playing Roblox with me. Maybe they're, a little kid like me. That's not the case sometimes, right? So we have to really make them understand that they shouldn't really be meeting online, honestly, at a young age, especially meeting online with people if there's not a parent involved. Look at it this way. Would you be okay letting your kid go meet someone down the street at the store or at the mall? You don't really know who they are. You've never met them. You
Yes.
have But you're going to say, okay, sure, go for it. Go meet up with
Absolutely.
them. Like,
Absolutely.
no, right? So why is it that people feel like it's online, so it's somehow less dangerous? Not at all,
Exactly.
right? Like, wake up, right? It is not less dangerous just because they're not face to face with someone.
It's actually
It's more
more
insidious,
dangerous
right? Yeah,
because you don't know who they are. For example, you don't know where they live. You don't
right.
know faces. Everything might be faked, right? So
I mean, adults get catfished all the time. We're
yes.
adults, man, and it happens to us all the time. So, I mean, you're
Well,
naive if you
it
think
hasn't
that your
happened to
parent,
me,
your
but
well, you're naive if you think it's not happening to your kids or won't be happening to your kids, right? So you have to
yes,
teach them that. They
exactly.
got to be smart.
We have a comment from Bewire Technologies,
Back
replying
to
to
Andrew again.
Andrew, replying to Andrew Summerton. Andrew Summerton, was a pleasure to have you online from Cuba. Amazing beaches.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Thanks for giving us those minutes, those 5 minutes of time. Andrew, thank you so much. If you're in Cuba, you're probably listening to the show, of course. Then we
Yes.
have tip number 9.
Yeah. Inform yourself. Again, this is huge. You're the parent. I know it's difficult sometimes to keep up. Maybe you're not tech savvy, whatever it is, but you need to know where your kids are in their online and offline lives, right?
Yes. We
It's
have
both.
we have 3 websites for that,
Yes.
and
Very good
these
stuff.
are really really good stuff to inform yourself, and to act if something happens. So for
Hmm.
example, this one here is called needhelpnow.ca. And look at this. How can we help you today? I need help removing sexual pictures or videos from my internet. I need help with cyberbullying and dealing with my peers. I need help on how to talk to and support a youth in crisis. I need tips for helping a friend I am worried about. So you can
Such a
contact.
great site.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing. I love this site. They have
Yeah.
so much information, and you can talk to a real human being on about things that are happening in your situation, right? So
Yeah.
needhelpnow.ca. That's the website to go
Right.
to. The
And if
second
you
one,
want, yes, go
go ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish up.
I was just going to say, if you need more information, I think we have two other sources too, or two other
Yes.
things that we can
Oh,
point to.
and you know what? After the show or within the show, if you have any questions on how to set up the routers, how to do
Yes.
all of this stuff, apply the ads, you can talk to me. You can post your comments, send us a shout out, go to our contact us page and send us a question. I'll be able to personally help you out with the stuff that is a little more technical than
Right.
for securing your kids.
Yes.
So the second website is this one,
Yep.
cybertip.ca, and it just gives you so much information about online harms and luring.
And if you do need to report, this is where you will go. You can go in here and you can actually report any incidences of like cyberbullying or
Yes,
sextortion or anything like that, and it will be investigated. This is a really great source for that. It actually works through the Canadian Center for Child Protection.
exactly. So this is a government of Canada sponsored event or initiative where
Mm-hmm.
you can actually report things that are happening in your situation. Anything that has to do with cyberbullying, sextortion, extortion, you can report and take action
Right.
in here. So and this goes beyond just the digital side of things. You can report things like child sexual abuse, online harms, etc., all kinds of stuff, right? So
Right.
it goes beyond the digital side of things, right? So very good website to go to, very good
Yes.
resource. And then the last one would be this
Yes.
one, which is part of the government of Canada. It's called
Another
Keep
great resource.
Safe.
Yep.
They have all kinds of resource or cybersecurity for families, as well as for personal and small businesses, medium-sized businesses, on laptops, computers, phones, multi-factor authentication, VPNs, anything that you need to know about how to protect not just your kids but yourselves, your families, your businesses. You can find it here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
so these are pretty cool sources of
Yes.
information for any parents, right? All right,
Yes.
everything
We
is
have I think we have one
done.
more. Last
We have
tip.
last tip. Oh, we got one
Yes.
more tip. Okay, what is
Which
the
is a
last?
really, really important one.
All right,
It's a
what
really,
is it?
really important one. It's supposed to be tip 10. It's supposed to be a role model.
Okay,
So you kind of touched on this earlier. This is big deal. You want to avoid the, privacy paradox, meaning, well, you're going to tell your kids to be one way, but you're not going to do it yourself.
yes,
We
yeah,
know kids copy us.
yes. Monkey see, monkey do.
Monkey do.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So yeah, you got to make sure that you set that standard with obviously your own behavior. And inform yourself and inform your child, and if you don't feel like you're informed, do it together.
yes.
Educate yourself while doing it with your children, and so they see that you're also doing the work and putting in the effort to
All
understand
right,
how to protect yourself. So sorry, that's it. 10
amazing.
points.
Thank you so much,
Whew,
everybody.
205. Wow.
Yeah, we went over 5 minutes, but that's okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Visit rhino.io, our cybersecurity services. This is the Tech Lounge. Don't forget, every Friday, 12 p.m., LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much, Tamara, for
Thank
joining us.
you.
It was great.
Anytime, guys. And if you guys do have questions, like Dan said, you send them to him.
Send it to me.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Or
Bye,
to
Andrew.
me.